Hello and welcome back to another exciting video of the light behind Mrs. Huff is too bright. Once I get my sweet YouTube money that I don't have and never will, then I'll get myself a professional studio where there's not a bright light behind me. So what does that mean? That means get used to the bright light. Unless you like and subscribe my videos. Anyway, let's talk about symbiotic relationships. I'm very excited to talk about this with you. This is one of my favorite things. I love this idea in nature. In ecology, remember, I've been telling you everything is interconnected, and this shows about how living things are vastly interconnected with each other in the ways that they are. So let's start taking a look at some of these things. We're going to start talking about kind of levels of organization. So how are living things sort of grouped and organized and put into whatever kind of group. There's many ways to group living things. This is one of them, and you've probably heard these terms before. We're just going to make sure you know them. We'll go over them quickly. And if you're like, I didn't get that, remember, you can pause the video and go back, write something down. That's what it's nice about being on a video. So when you say an organism, you're talking about one. Like, I am an organism. I am a single human. I'm a single Homo sapien. If in ecology we're talking about a population, that's a bunch of organisms of one species. So here you might have a bunch of like anchovies or something. I think they're too big to be anchovies. I'm not a fish expert, okay, so don't call me out. But if we were in the classroom together, that's a population. It's all us humans in the same area at the same time. Okay, so that's another important thing. It's the same geographic location at the same time. You might hear this word community. It's a group of interacting populations. So if we were in the park for a field trip, it would be all the humans and all the grass and all the trees and the ants and all the living things, biotic things in that area at the same time. So if you go into a forest, the community is all the living things that are there that exist at that time. So all the squirrels and the owls and the hawks and the robins and the worms and the grass and all the different tree species that are there. That's the community. A lot of times people, I think, use community and ecosystem interchangeably, but ecosystem is the community, all the biotic factors, and the, of course, my head's in the way, and the non-living or abiotic factors. So if you're just looking to write stuff and you're not really listening, right behind my head, it's posted on Google Classroom so you could see it better there. But that should say non-living or abiotic factors. So I kind of use the same picture for community and ecosystem. It's really hard to take a picture of a community without including some abiotic factors. Like here, the water is abiotic. So I can't separate this coral reef ecosystem. I can't separate the community from the abiotic factors. So I have the same picture for community and ecosystem. So you'll see these words, so you should become familiar with them and just know that's what they are. They're what they're describing. So normally we would do this together in class. I miss being in class. There's a lot of things I feel like we can't do the same. That doesn't work as well for a science class that we can't do online, but we're going to do our best. So you can take a minute to pause. If you're watching this and you know a friend from class is doing the same kind of thing, you can text them or whatever. You know, the phone actually can make calls. And so you can actually call someone and talk to them. That's what we used to do when I was a kid. I'm so old that my parents had one of those phones that were on the wall and you could pick it up. When I was really, really, really little, you had the one that was the dial that you had to like kind of press your number like 8 and then you go all the way around and go chick, 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 chick. Yeah, you've probably never seen that. But we had some that were attached to the wall. I thought I was cool because we had like a cordless phone. I was super cool when I got a phone in my own room. That was like crazy to have your own phone. Okay, I'm old. I'm not even that old, okay? I mean, I get it. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Anyway, let's go back to reality and talking about biology. Maybe you took that time to actually pause the video and kind of try to figure out what these creatures eat. If not, again, you can message a friend who's doing this. I'm sure you won't, but you could. and then talk about it and be like, wow, Miss Huff's a dork. And I'd be like, yeah, I mean, that's like a fact. So I don't know if you're saying that to hurt me, because I just am. All right, anyway, sorry. This is when I would be like regularly in class. I'm just going to be myself on these videos. So think about what these things eat. See if you can figure them out, and then I'll talk to you about them. So take a pause. There might be some you don't know. Maybe you're going to be like, well, I'm going to look that one up because I want to know. Okay, so I figure if you're going to pause, you've already done that and tried to write these things out. So look here, we've got a new word. Miss Huff, you didn't tell us what these words mean. That's what's on this next slide. These are all examples of this word, heterotrophs. That's a good big word. You should really take some time to write that word down. Here it is. And what does that word mean? It is you and me. It is not this. It's not a plant. A plant is an autotroph. Autotrophs make their own food. Heterotrophs are creatures like animals and fungi and bacteria of some kinds and protists of some kinds that need to eat food. We do not make our own food. We need to ingest food. So you are a heterotroph. So you should know that word. When it comes time and there's a quiz, that word's going to appear. So you should know that word. Write it down somewhere. So all those things I showed you before were heterotrophs. So you can get familiar with them. Maybe you've heard these words before, maybe you haven't. When we talk about making food chains and food webs, we're going to use the word herbivore and carnivore and other such words. So you should be familiar with those words. So take some time to write them down. You're like, I'm not doing that. Okay. You won't remember them as well. Right? It's a thing. Okay, I'm just telling you, it's a thing. So herbivores eat plants, and I'll show you pictures of examples. And then, carnivores eat herbivores or prey on other heterotrophs. So here's another example, and that's why the deer went away, because he ate it up. Okay. So herbivore, you can see the word herb in there. Herbs are like, 11 herbs and spices. You think of plants. Carnivore, I always think of the word in Spanish, carne, means meat. So they're meat eaters. Examples of some carnivores, like some that maybe you didn't really think of right away, could be scavengers, and they feed on dead animals. So a word for dead animals is carrion. You could hear people call vultures and things carrion feeders. It means they're scavengers. So the lion eats some stuff, then he's full and goes away, and then you have the scavengers that'll come and pick off whatever is left. We're omnivores. Omni can mean like best. I love being the best. But they eat both plants and animals. So a trash panda, also known as a raccoon, I guess, they're omnivores. They'll eat meat and plants. So like a subclass of omnivore are detritivores, like millipedes and earthworms. They'll eat fragments of dead stuff. They'll eat whatever they can find. So detritus is like dead matter. So it could be plant or animal. Then you have your decomposers. And the reason they're a little bit different than detritivores or omnivores is they chemically will break down dead matter. So we're kind of classifying them less of an animal. So like bacteria and fungi, are your decomposers. I thought I had a picture. Well, you can totally look up a picture, but those are our decomposers. Again, a lot of these words are going to come back when we talk about food chains and food webs. So it's good that you know them. Take some time to write them down. I have to write notes to myself for what I'm going to do for the day because I won't remember them. Because the act of writing them down helps to remember. And then I probably won't remember anyway, so I have something to look back on what I need to know, whatever it is that I need to know. So actually writing these things down is going to help you. That's how you study. That's how you learn things. If you don't do them, you probably are not going to be as successful with your learning. And that's the really important thing that we need you to do, is be successful in your learning. So please do it. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if you want to do well and pass your courses, you need to do those kinds of things. Now we're going to talk about symbiotic relationships. So relationships between different carnivores or different animals and plants, different living things. So A symbiotic relationship is when you have two living creatures, potentially more than two, but two creatures living in very close association to the point where they have like some kind of relationship with each other. That they might either rely on each other for food or protection, and they can benefit or harm the other person they have a relationship with. So the three main ones that we'll talk about are right here. A fourth one that we can kind of talk about is the predator-prey relationship. I consider that sort of separate from symbiotic relationships, but a lot of people classify that as a symbiotic relationship. So, sorry, that scared me too. That was my phone. So anyway, predator-prey relationships, I don't really consider as part of a symbiotic relationship. I kind of think it's its own thing, but you might see it as kind of a symbiotic relationship. So I wanted to tell you. So let's talk about these three relationships. I put my favorite at the top. That's mutualism. It's when both organisms benefit. It's like everyone helps each other out. I just love that. I love when people work together, like in a group at school, and help each other out and look out for each other. That's like a human example. In the animal world, here's one example that I have a picture of. You can have those little birds that clean alligators' mouths. Why would they do that? So let's think. So think about how an alligator will eat. They'll sit there and snap something up in their jaws, and they have those little stubby arms. So they can't sit there and like brush their teeth or pick stuff out of their mouth. So if they have like a bunch of meat that they've eaten, it can sit near the back of their jaw and start rotting, or in between their teeth, it could start rotting. If that happens, it'll start to decay. Now, actually, they're more likely to get infections in their mouths, which could cause them to die. So if they allow these birds to come in and pick out some of this extra meat, then they'll have basically they went to the dentist and got a nice teeth cleaning, and so their mouths won't rot and they won't have a buildup of bacteria. And if they're bold enough to go into the alligator's mouth, they get a free meal. So they both benefit. There's many examples of mutualism in nature. We'll look at a lot, okay? But it's sort of like a plus or a two happy faces. They both benefit. This one in the middle, this is the one that a lot of people seem to forget about or think of as the other one. This is commensalism. One organism benefits and the other isn't helped. It's not hurt. It's like, whatever. Okay, you're going to be okay. I don't really care. So one example, I'll try to show you guys this in class. I totally recommend looking up videos because I love looking at videos of animals. So you're on the internet right now. You can pause this video and in a new tab, look up a video of mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. Girl, there's so many of these parasitism ones, and they can be really gross. This is why I wish we were in class because I love grossing people out. It's really interesting. Okay, so anyway, back to commensalism. One benefits, the other is not helped or hurt. So kangaroos will sit and they'll forage in the ground for their food and everything. And sometimes birds will perch on their backs. Have you ever held a bird? If not, they're super light. Okay, so this kangaroo, it probably feels that there's something on it, but it's not hurting it, it's not helping it, it's not bothering it. The bird is just sitting there. Well, as the kangaroo is foraging in the ground, it stirs up bugs that the bird wants to eat. So if the bird sits on a kangaroo while it's foraging, it's easier for that bird to catch food. So that bird will just hop down and be able to catch its meal a lot faster. So the bird benefits. It's like, cool, I'm just going to wait for this big guy to like stir up the bugs so I can catch him. But the kangaroo does not get any benefit, and it is not hurt either. One example you would see a lot of commensalism that they mention a lot are whales and these things called barnacles. So I know I think of SpongeBob too when I hear that. But it doesn't necessarily hurt the whale to have a barnacle growing on it, and the barnacle gets to move around and gets access to better food. Personally, I think if there's too many barnacles on the whale, it probably does irritate it or hurt it. So I like this example better. And parasitism, the scariest one. One organism benefits, but it hurts the other one. So like fleas or ticks on a dog, or on you if you ever go outside in the wilderness and get a tick. It's scary. Like the first time I ever had that happen to me, I was like freaking out. Another horrific parasite that's interesting is the tapeworm. They can live inside humans if you are eating pork products that aren't cooked well enough. That's where their larval form lives, and then when you eat it, they'll start growing in your intestines. And they can grow up like a meter. A meter is like 3 feet. I've seen things where they can grow up to be 14 meters inside you. Wow. Look up a video of parasites. It's disgusting. Like it'll interest you though, because it's so disgusting. I'll try to put some in Google Classroom for you to look at. So try to do this for yourself. Can you think of any other relationships living things have with another? Can you think of other examples of relationships between living things? I gave you a couple. Can you think of any examples of mutualism, commensalism? That's hard. Or parasitism that I didn't say? What about your own relationships with other people? Are any of them like mutualistic or parasitic? I'm pretty sure I didn't say that right. Parasitic. That's better. Or commensalism. Think about that. Okay, so in class, we're going to actually do a lab on these relationships between living things. I'd rather do it in person, but here we are. We'll do it virtually. So you are going to need to know those relationships to be able to do this lab. So that's why I'm posting this ahead of time. I hope it helps you understand those relationships and how maybe we classify living things. And I will see you soon.